All right, let's jump right in. We're going way back into an incredible story from the epic Mahabharata. And this isn't just a tale of gods and heroes. No, this is a story about a king's all-consuming rage and a people's desperate last-ditch fight for survival.
Just take that in for a second. We're not talking about a campfire story here. This is the scene of an apocalypse. A methodical, ritualistic slaughter on a scale that's just hard to even imagine. From the very beginning, you need to understand the stakes here are total, absolute annihilation.
So who's responsible for this nightmare? A king named Janamejaya. And this event, this great snake sacrifice, well, it wasn't just some ordinary ritual. It was a weapon of mass destruction fueled by pure vengeance and divine magic. And here's the name for it, the Sarpayagna. The goal was simple and completely terrifying: to use a sacred fire to summon and destroy every single serpent, or Naga as they're called, in existence. This was nothing less than a genocide.
Now, to pull off a ritual of this insane magnitude, you needed the A-team. We're talking about legendary sages like Vyasa himself, a whole assembly of masters, where each priest was a specialist in their sacred role. This wasn't some back-alley ceremony. The sheer power and legitimacy of these guys meant this ritual was basically an unstoppable force, a dark cosmic power turned towards total destruction. But let's flip the perspective for a moment. What was it like for the victims? Well, as this ritual spun up, the effects were catastrophic. For the entire serpent race, the world was ending, and the very air they breathed had turned against them. I mean, just try to picture it. The sky is filled with serpents, being pulled against their will right into the flames by the sheer power of the chanting. The text describes this single, constant scream from millions of dying creatures, and this fearful stench filling the air. It's literally the sound and smell of an entire species being erased. In the face of this apocalypse, how did the serpent leaders react? We see two totally different responses from two of the most powerful Nagas, Takshaka and Vasuki.
So you have Takshaka, a prince of the snakes, and he is just overcome with terror. He knows this whole sacrifice is really aimed at him. And his response? He runs. He confesses his sin and goes looking for sanctuary with the king of the gods himself, Indra.
And you know what? For a minute, it looks like it worked. Indra grants him protection, basically saying, hey, as long as you're with me, you're safe. So Takshaka finds his golden parachute while his people are just burning down below.
And this contrast is so key to the story. On one side, you have Takshaka, the fugitive, who's only focused on his own survival. But on the other side, you have Vasuki, the king. He doesn't run. He stays. He watches his kingdom get turned to ash, totally heartbroken, trapped between his duty to his people and the fact that he's powerless to save them. For Vasuki, watching his family, his subjects, watching them all perish moment by moment, it just becomes too much to handle. He reaches a breaking point, a moment of complete and total despair.
And this isn't just, emotional grief. The sacrifice is physically tearing him apart. He describes his body burning, his vision failing him, his mind just thrown into chaos. The ritual's power is reaching for him now, for the king.
It all comes down to this single, gut-wrenching line. This is the cry of a king who has lost everything. He can feel the pull of the flames. He knows he's next, and his only hope is this tiny thread, a promise that was made a long, long time ago.
And right when it seems like all is lost, that ancient prophecy becomes the one single ray of hope in all this darkness. A solution that was set in motion by the creator god, Brahma, long before the first flame of the Sarpayagna was even lit.
So the entire fate of the serpent race, it all rests on the shoulders of one person. Not an army, not a god, but a boy named Astika. He has to face down the immense power of King Janamejaya and his whole assembly of master sages. So who is this kid? Well, Astika is unique. He's the son of a human sage and a serpent princess, which means he bridges both worlds. He's a master of the very scriptures being used for all this destruction. And most importantly, his birth was the fulfillment of a prophecy. He was literally born for this one moment, to save the Nagas. And this is where we're going to leave it. An entire race on the brink of extinction. A king who's completely blinded by rage, and a ritual powered by the masters of the cosmos. The only thing standing in the way is one young sage, born to fulfill a divine purpose.
It really makes you wonder, right? What's more powerful? The unstoppable fire of vengeance or the voice of wisdom that just might be able to break the chain?